Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Countless Vlogcast. My guest today is Kelly Blanchard. She's an author. How you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
So tell us a little about yourself and your little creativity.
I am from Texas. I just moved to Florida, so I'm trying to get used to all that. And I'm a writer. I published I'm the author of the Chronicles of Lorik series. It's a fantasy sci-fi blend. There are spaceships in some places. There are dragons in others, and it's a lot of fun to. And I just published the sixth book in that series like yesterday, and so yeah, there are 9 books in that series, and I can't wait for them all to be released. So.
Okay. So from book one to now, like what inspired that like you first started writing, or your first like thoughts and inspirations for writing the first book to continue the series?
Well, the very first book, I actually wrote book 1 and 2, thinking it was one book, and that was it. But that didn't happen. The idea for the series, I mean, it centered around Lorik, who I got the idea for from Loki from the Thor movies. I really like how he's so, mischievous in many ways. And I was like, he's the bad guy in the movies, but what if he's actually a good guy, just really, really terribly misunderstood? So I kind of took that idea and I adopted that kind of personality for Lorik, my character. And I have him to be the main character, and he's always trying to help people, but he keeps getting blamed for the bad things that happen because they're like, you have magic, you should be able to stop bad things from happening. And he's like, he can't win. And so he's constantly trying to figure out, everybody thinks he's a bad guy. They just think he's a bad guy. So he's trying not to be a bad guy, but at the same time, he's like, you know what? It would be so easy to be the bad guy right now.
So when creating the characters, what difficulty did you find like creating the characters, if any at all?
Well, there's not too many difficulties. Some characters can be, I'm like, who are you? What's your personality? And it takes some time to get used to figuring out that. But for the most part, the character is like, hey, this is who I am. I'm like, oh, okay. And sometimes they threaten to take over the story, which that's the hard part, to make sure they don't do that. So.
Okay, in terms of like authors and writers that inspire you, like in your writing, any influences in that terms of that?
Well, I mean, Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, and so forth. Those are the big ones for fantasy. I really love. I mean, I honestly haven't actually read itself, the Lord of the Rings. I've seen the movies, but I haven't read it. But I love the world and so forth. There's not too many that I can say that I've actually, write. I'm like, oh, I want to be the next, whatever. Because I haven't been able to read too much since I've been writing. But there's so many great authors out there, and I really am impressed by everybody and what they do, and it's so amazing to watch, for sure.
Okay. So what in terms of like, are you going to continue the series, or is there like another series you want to work on in the present time?
Well, the Chronicles of Lorik is 9 books. I have already written the entire series, and that series is complete. After that, there is another series called The Sailing Gambit. That's a 5-book series. It's also complete, but it's not yet published. And then I have a 3-book series, and I'm currently writing another one after that. All of these take place within the same universe, oftentimes with characters. And like the Sailing Gambit actually takes place like 40 years before the Chronicles of Lorik. So you get to see some characters that you hear mention of, but you don't actually see in the series and so forth. And you get lots of backstory, and it's a lot of fun to explore that. So I have like 4 or 5 other series I plan to write, and it's all within this universe. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got a lot to write.
Okay. In terms of like audience, who is your like your target audience in terms of like your writing and your books? Who do you want to read this book, and what do you want them to take away from it?
Well, I think like 15 years and older can just read it. I've had younger people read it, but I really think that's around the right age range. What I want them to take away from it, it really depends on the book, because each book has something different. But basically, I really want to write something where people get blamed for something. They did do or they didn't do, and some people may twist things to blame somebody else for it. And I really wanted to write a series where people can relate to a character who's like that and keeps getting blamed. Like, he's like, no, and he's actually really, really powerful, but he still keeps getting blamed for all this stuff. And I just wanted to write a series where people can relate to somebody like that, because he's constantly walking the line of, what, why don't I just go ahead, fine. Everyone thinks I'm this bad person. I do all this bad stuff. They blame me for everything. Why don't I just embrace that? But he's like, no, I don't really, that's not really me. So it just shows you the struggle. And I just wanted to show a character like that and have people read and, maybe relate to it if they can. So that's really why I was writing it. So.
Okay, great. So how do you feel you've grown as an author since you began writing more seriously, like more professionally?
Well, it's hard for me to say, because my readers have said my writing has shifted from the beginning of the books to later on. As a writer, it's hard for me to see it myself because I'm just always writing and so forth. But I hear that my stories can become much more complex, especially in the later books. There's so many layers and so forth. So that's always neat to see. And every time I pick up a new book to start writing, I challenge myself, like, can I write a character that everybody hates, but then and they want the character to die, and at the very end they realize they totally misunderstood, but the character still die, and they regret wishing the character would die. And so it's fun to see if I can do that, and so forth. So that's what I've observed with my writing and my style and so forth.
Okay, so what is your method of writing? Like, do you have a blank paper? Do you have like an idea list? Are you more like a planner? Are you more like pick it up, put it down? What kind of like when you comes to writing?
I'm a very prolific writer. I normally write 2,000 words or more a day.
Wow.
And it's called a plotter and a pantster. I'm both, because I describe it like a roller coaster. I know the beginning, and I can look at and I can see all the high points. I just don't know, and I can see the loops. I just don't know all the middle parts, what connects the high points.
Like the meat.
And yeah, exactly. And I like to plan those high points, and I'm okay, one high point to the other high point, and then I'm like, okay, and I focus on trying to get a general idea what's in the middle, and then I write that. But I like the story to surprise me. I used to write like really detailed outlines, like really, really detailed outlines. But then I did it once, and I realized I wrote the whole story, but in passive voice, basically. And it was really, I was like, I don't want to write it again. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to do it like that anymore. So I decided to do both, where I both plan and not. So.
Okay. So for young writers out there in science fiction and other genres, do you have any like advice for them, like starting out? Because you said you used to like write out like a lot of plans. So do you have any like advice for them? I know everybody's like different in terms of their writing styles, but do you have any like general advice?
Well, my advice is, like, there are no rules to writing. There are people out there that say you have to do this. I'm like, that work for you. So, try what you want to do. It may or may not work. And so it's okay to break rules. Try to, use the proper grammar and proper spelling. That's kind of important. But other things, like, do you outline? Do you not? Things like that. Each writer needs to figure that out for themselves, because, what works for me may not work for somebody else. So I just say, I'd always like this. If somebody asked me what do you do for this? I'm like, well, this is what I do, but it might not work for you. So try it, play around, figure it out, make it work however works for you. So that's what I always like to say.
Okay, let's talk about the business side of writing too, like the editing and proofreading side. You don't have to do it step by step, but like, what are somebody like looking for in terms of like once you like write all your books out, like what's like the next step for like you personally?
Well, I write my book, and then I put it away, and I write another one. And when I finish that one, I go back to the first one, and then I read through it. And as I read through it, I take notes in my manuscript itself. I'm like, this doesn't sound right, this doesn't feel right, or this isn't consistent. I just take notes. And then I go and I open a brand new document. And then I go back to the manuscript and I copy and paste all the way to the first note. And I paste that over to the new document. And I focus on whatever that note was. If it's, maybe I need to add a new scene or something, sort out something. And then I go back to the manuscript, and I go from that point on to the next point, and I go over to my manuscript, and I do that until I've addressed all the issues, and then I will take that and I will read it again and see if anything else jumps out at me. And I just keep doing that until I know my notes to polish. And then I go and I start proofreading and making sure spelling is correct, grammar is correct, doing as much self-editing as possible. And then once that's good, I will send it to a publisher, my editor, should I say, and make sure that it's good with them taking whatever notes, because there are things I can't catch. You know, when I look over it so many times, it just becomes, redundant to me. So I will take that and I will apply the notes. And then after that, I will submit it to my publisher, who then takes it and runs with it. So.
Okay, can you talk about a little more like editing and publishing? So when you're looking for editor and publisher, what are some of the things you like specifically looking for in your genre?
Well, with editor, because I used to be self-published, I am now with a publisher, and they actually found me. I didn't really want to go with a publisher, but they found me, so I'm the publisher. But with an editor, especially if you're self-published, there are different kinds of editors. I personally wanted an editor that would not go and just tear my book apart and go, no, this doesn't sound like it works well with this or what. I didn't want them to make the story their own story. I was like, I want you to go through it, tell me if there are any errors, if there's anything that's not consistent, that I have commas when I'm not supposed to be, and so forth. And that's what I wanted. Now, other people may want other kinds of more involved editors, and that's okay. It just really depends on what they want. So, of course, as you publish anyway, it doesn't really matter. There are still going to be those typos, those little things, because what happens when you get your notes back from the editor, you go to fix a mistake and you tend to make a mistake. So you didn't realize you left the one word in there that you were supposed to take out, So, but thankfully you can go, even after it's published, you can go back and fix that up and then, upload it again. So, but yeah, did you ask me a question about a publisher though? I can't remember.
Oh yeah. It was editor and then the publisher, like in terms of like finding somebody that fits you, because I know everybody's different in their writing styles and like their books. So it's like, how would you go about like finding your publisher? I know they found you, but how would you like?
Yeah, like I said, they found me, so I was very content with going with self-publishing. So I don't really know, the whole traditional route of, querying to an agent and publisher. I don't know that, because I decided not to go that way, because that takes up so much time. It could take 6 months to a year for someone to reply to them, and they may reply with a rejection. So I was like, you know what, I'll just go self-publishing. So I'm with Fallbrandt Press, and I really like them because they take formally published books, which most traditional publishers won't do. They take books, they say, we will, if you unpublish this and publish it under S, we will actually promote, we will spend all our money to market you and promote you. Lots of publishers, even the big 5, publishers, they won't do that. They will publish you and you have to promote yourself. And if you prove that you are worthy, basically, then they will actually go ahead and start promoting you. So with Fallbrandt, the fact that they saw my series and they said I had everything they wanted, then and they were willing to put money into it, and I wouldn't cost me anything. That's like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I have everything to gain. So why not?
Okay. So before you got a publisher, what was your method of like branding and promotion for yourself? Because I know a lot of people self-publish now.
Well, I'm mostly on Facebook with my. What was the second half of the question?
Yeah. So a lot of people self-publish now with social media too. So how did you use it before you got a publisher?
Well, I use it based on how I do now, even because I'm very much the kind of person that likes to be involved. And anyway, so what I'm most active on my Facebook group, especially, and in other writing groups, because people are like, why write groups? And the reason is that writers are also readers. So I am always trying to help fellow writers, engage with fellow writers, and when they have, questions, I like to help them. So that has brought a lot of people together, and they have people they know, and they bring them and they introduce them to me and forth. And I tried Twitter. I'm not the greatest with Twitter. Instagram, not the greatest with Instagram. I'll learn that. But Facebook is my main point of promoting and so forth.
Okay, great. So in terms of like present goals with the quarantine and all that too, what are some of your present goals? What do you want to look forward to in a couple months?
I would like the world to go back to normal.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to be writing, publishing. Hope to finish the series I'm currently writing, and just keep up with that, and hopefully just help people discover my series and things are taking off really well.
Okay, great. I just want to thank you for coming on. So where can people find you at on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter? Where can people find you at?
Well, on Instagram and Twitter, my username is Kelnetta. That is KELLANNETTA. On Facebook, I am most active in my group, which is called the Muse's Realm, and that's where you can find me. I have a Facebook page, and I'm Author Kelly Blanchard on there, and yeah, so that's where I'm most active.
Okay, I'd just like to end with positive words from you, positive words of encouragement for the people out there, if you wouldn't mind. Oh yes. So from you, I just
Sorry,
want
you're breaking up.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to. I like to end it with the positive words from you to the audience watching.
Mm-hmm. You want me to say something?
Yes,
it's hard. I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand.
Oh yeah. I just wanted you to say some positive words, please. Thank you.
Okay. Well, there's lots of insanity in the world right now. Lots of uncertainty, and I always like to tell people that it's going to be okay. If it's not okay, it's going to be. And you just take it one step at a time. You just breathe. Remember to breathe, and just keep going, and have just keep, because it may be terrible right now, but you have to just keep on moving because you can't stand still. You can't. If you stand still, you just get consumed by the darkness and everything else that just can weigh you down. So you just take one step, and you'll be out of it. And you look back, and it'll be all just a memory. Every moment that passes is memory, becomes a memory. And if you just keep on going forward, you're like, whatever you're going through right now, it's going to be a memory in the past. And you're like, oh wow, I actually walked through that. So all I say is just keep on going forward, because everything will get better, everything will work out. And you'll look and you'll be proud of yourself looking through it.
Okay, great. I just want to appreciate you coming on, talk about your book and your writing, and giving them positive words of encouragement and letting people out there that know about you. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead support Kelly. She's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, mostly Facebook though, guys. Look for her book and her series. And thank you guys for watching. All right. You have a good night.
Okay. You too.